If you're driving, please remember to use your car's Bluetooth speaker while listening to the AM Drive. Sports talk is not worth your safety or the safety of others.
Grab your popcorn and sit back.
Jump the gun. Oh, no, give me more than that. Okay, go this way. That was dumb. We are.
How could I tell you when nobody wants to? Your favorite words I would show.
Oh, good morning. Happy Monday to everyone in the sports universe. This is the AM Drive here, the AM Drive TV on YouTube and Twitter for Aaron Crouch. I am Michael Carvalho. Happy July 3rd to you, sir.
And a happy July 3rd to you as well. Yeah, I know. I saw the countdown at like 2. I'm like, oh, I could sneak a yawn in, but then you cut it off, and I'm left vulnerable with my metaphorical pants on the ground in the spot.
I did not cut it off. That's how it ends, but oh well.
Well, speaking of, do you theoretically, since we don't have to, do you wear pants to this show?
What an odd question.
Well, I was just thinking, like, my metaphorical pants were on the ground because I'm sitting there, like, right in the middle of a. See, now I got a yawn.
Right, there you go. It's contagious.
Right in the middle of it.
Sometimes yes. Most of the times yes, sometimes no.
You know, I was thinking I always wear shorts to the thing, but I was thinking, like, you don't really it's like those Zoom meetings during COVID. Like, were people wearing pants with their suit up top?
It's rough.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I would kind of like want to rock the suit up top and the basketball shorts on the bottom. That's could that be a new trend?
Oh, wow, that'd be ugly in real life, though.
It would be bad. I don't know where my mind went this morning, but, you know, since I missed Friday's show, so many things have just come pouring in my mind.
To be fair, we both did, because you know, I was like, well, I'm not going to do a fantasy draft without my boy, so I decided not to.
Well, yeah, you can't draft if you're the only one drafting.
I could pretend like, what'd you say, Aaron?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. Mike and AaronDrive.com for the best in our merchandise. Click the Our Store tab. It's the best way to support our show in general, but please shop our shop because we're awesome. All right, on today's show, we got NBA free agency talk, Gamblegate in the NFL. That's a burning topic. Top 5 baseball teams, and of course, what is our fantasy draft for Monday? We'll tell you about it in the last segments.
Our friend day.
That's right. Okay. NBA free agency talk. Aaron, I'm going to keep you up to date on the burnings of the NBA. Frankly, I got to update myself, too, in the last couple of days. But when it started, it was pretty hot. You saw a bunch of guys like – I know Jordan Poole was dealt in a trade. We already talked about that. So Draymond Green signed a $100 million contract, which maybe that's why Bob Myers left. Like, I'm not paying this guy again. I don't know if that's why he left, but it was pretty gross. Kyrie Irving signed with the Mavericks out of the – like, people kept trying to force that Kyrie to LeBron thing. I've never thought it was going to happen, even though I would like to see it happen, but Kyrie stayed with Luka. To be fair, Luka and LeBron are kind of similar players in a way. But they're both amazing passers. They both can take over a game. So I can see why Kyrie stayed with a younger version of LeBron there. Damian Lillard has requested a trade. Finally, now that he's got his money, now he wants out. Funny how they work like that. And just many more things. I know Tyler Hero may be involved in the deal. He's been involved in the last 5 hypothetical deals for Miami. But what is your thoughts on just the big names doing what they're doing?
Yeah, these big names you mentioned, like you said right off the bat, you know, I got to say, to me, it's surprising that Kyrie Irving, it's not surprising that he's on a team, but it's surprising that he's on a team for $40+ million a season. Like, I keep hearing this same old worn out quote, you know, oh, he's one of the best when he wants to be. Why am I paying $40 million for somebody who is good when they want to be?
That's right.
And he showed in just a little bit of time, that whole franchise showed how much of a cancer, maybe it's not just him specifically, but just the effects of him being in the room. I mean, look how quickly that big 3 disintegrated in Brooklyn. And I just, for the life of me, don't understand why, you know, the person who wants to be around, you know, part-time a part-time basketball player,
Yep.
isn't going to continue to get paid this much money. Like, there's so many other players and teammates. Like, how did you not keep Jalen Brunson for these kind of prices? But you're going to keep Kyrie Irving, who, like I said, what did he play? 15 games in Dallas, and it was just absolutely atrocious. They literally under his watch at this point. I mean, they were literally punished for this. Like, they had to go into full, like, now. I mean, this was the first real inklings, like, will he or won't he, as far as Luka staying in Dallas. Like, we never had any thoughts about that. Luka seemed to really enjoy kind of being alpha dog, and all this stuff. And then you brought in Kyrie, and I don't know. I think it's just a sinking ship at this point. But you know what? Good for him. If somebody's going to give you $40 million, you don't say no, I guess. But
that's right. You're right.
Yeah, Draymond. Draymond and Chris Middleton. I was definitely, we didn't think they were going to go out in the open market and get big deals. So for them to decline those options, we talked about that. It was a little, it looked like it was basically a team friendly kind of thing here. Both of them went back for less money. Both of them are, probably on the back nine of their career at this point. Chris Middleton coming off injury, Draymond just coming off, just being an idiot most of the time.
Brook Lopez. Go ahead.
You can't. When you look at these salaries in the NBA, you really can't. Like, you look at like Dylan Brooks getting $20 million a year. It's like you can't compare these to like the NFL with a harder cap, or the NHL, or it's just one of those things. It's like there's a soft cap that's huge for like 12 guys. Like I still don't quite understand these caps, because like you got Steph Curry. The cap is supposed to be $125 million. And Steph Curry makes 50. It's like, well, how do you build a team when one guy's literally, 40% of your cap, but with mid-level exceptions and all this stuff, it's hard to understand. And, these guys, I mean, good for them for getting their money, but a lot of these signings just don't make sense to me at the prices they get.
Are you surprised that Austin Reeves got one, like, what is it, $56 million?
No,
he's going to get 100.
That's the thing. It's like, these guys who they thought were going to get the big deals didn't. And maybe that's, self-inflicted, where they're like, hey, look, this is enough money for me. I'll take this and be fine with it. And, the guys, like, I thought there was no world where Kyrie was going to get $40 million. I really did. I didn't think there was going to. I thought he'd be lucky to be playing for 10, 15 million next year. But that goes to show I'm not a GM. With the Dame,
probably should be.
With the Dame Lillard thing, though, I think we finally had somebody had to blink in this spot, because you look at it both ways. I mean, how many times did we talk about Dame Lillard and he should go chase a ring, he should go join a big three, he should go join a big two, and he was always like, I'm loyal to Portland, let's do something in Portland, this, that, and the other. And obviously it hasn't panned out for him. And then you have Portland, who's like, why would I ever trade this superstar? I have him, he sells tickets, yada this, yada that. And it's like somebody, Portland wanted to get rid of him because they want to start over. And Dame wants to go try to compete because he's made enough money in his career. But someone had to blink, because the first person who blinks looks like a hypocrite. And the Portland was like, we're perfectly comfortable letting him just rot his career away here and be the ticket seller for us. I mean, why would you want to even sell that guy off? But
do you think it was easier for Portland to let Damian Lillard walk? I mean, not saying they're letting him walk, because they've been kind of stubborn, despite being aware of what he's preferred in Miami, possibly the Spurs, whatever. But have you been? Do you think it's easier for them now they drafted Scoot Henderson? Do you think it's a little bit easier for them to say, okay, yeah, go ahead, have a good one, dude?
I think it was always easy for them to trade him as soon as he wanted to be traded. The thing is like, Portland is that franchise that's, you have a superstar, he plays well. You have to figure out a way to draft talent around him, because it's really hard, even with Dame there, to get free agents to come to Portland, Oregon. It just is, call it what it is. But now that they're in a full total rebuild, I think they were ready. They've been ready to probably trade Damian Lillard for 2 years now.
At least.
But you don't have to force their hand, because Damian Lillard is a superstar that has basically said for the last 5 years, I'm happy where I'm at, no matter what the product is on the court, which is a very rare situation. You look at all these guys: Jimmy Butler, James Harden, Kevin Durant, all these guys. The minute things go south somewhere, they're like, "Get me the hell out of here," you know. So it's you know, Dame Lillard's a unicorn in that type of retrospect. But you know, now that the shoe has fallen and he's now officially made the trade, Portland's probably on the phone 24/7 trying to get rid of this guy. I mean, they probably have been, you know, making some backroom deals saying, "Hey, look, the minute Dame says I want out,
Right.
let's get this thing done as soon as possible." So, you know, Portland's been fine. I think Portland has prepared for this for years now, and they're just waiting on Damian Lillard to finally kind of, quote unquote, be the hypocrite here, be the bad guy. Because now Portland has the outlet that says, "Hey, look, now he wants out. We've got to trade him."
Right. And you're right about that. I know his preferred destination is Miami. It probably has been for a minute now. Now that he finally wants out, it's like coming to fruition. I don't even know if he's going to go to Miami, because is Miami willing to give up? Because they don't have a lot to give up, to be fair. I would rather give up Bam than give up Tyler Hero at this point. If I'm a GM, like, why? Like, if you can get back Nurkic and Dame, if you give up like some first picks and Bam, I would gladly replace Nurkic with Bam, and I would take Hero, Lillard, and Butler on the same team. What about you?
Well, where's Hero going to play?
Off the bench.
I don't know. I'd rather have Butler. I'd rather have Butler, Dame, and Bam.
Well, Hero and Lillard could be a good backcourt, though.
I mean, they
Gabe
could.
Vincent went to the Lakers.
Yeah, and then Max Strus is gone as well. I think he went to Cleveland. So
Yep.
So yeah, they really have to kind of replenish that backcourt. But I mean, I wouldn't want to lose either one of them. I'd throw a decade's worth of first round picks at Portland before I tried to get rid of a player. But you know, it's a kind of an interesting spot here for Miami, because you know, you just made the finals. Now, how sustainable is that? I don't know, because like you said, you just lost two of your better role players, but those role players were largely absent in that series against Denver. So if you lose Tyler Hero, which the thing is for him, he's a wild card, because we don't know what could have happened in the series if Tyler Hero played. Probably get the same result. Maybe Miami gets a game. Another game.
That's right.
You know, but you're still. I think Denver still wins it. So I think I'd be more. I think I'd be more willing to give up if you can find a way for them to take some of Kyle Lowry. I don't know if they can do that, but if you can keep those three guys, Hero, Butler, and Adebayo, I think you should be willing to back up the truck with every other piece that you have and your picks till kingdom come, to try to keep that big four in place somehow. If Butler can find a way to play like a small three, then those are your four starters right there, and you can fill in the rest later. Maybe Kevin Love comes back for a little resurgence season at the four, but yeah, you have to figure it out the way to keep them, because I think Tyler Hero is more valuable than a decade's worth of first round picks at this point.
Agreed. Lakers have gotten Austin Reeves back. They've signed Jackson Hayes, who I really like out of New Orleans. Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, re-signed D'Angelo Russell. They couldn't get Brook Lopez away from Milwaukee. That one's going to sting a little bit. But, I mean, this team's not – Lakers are doing pretty good. Also for the Phoenix Suns, with all that little money that they had, they picked up Eric Gordon, who still can snipe it. And they also picked up Drew Eubanks, who's a nice athletic big from Portland. I think Suns and Lakers have done pretty dang good with what they've had. Suns was self-inflicted, but Lakers, I'm impressed with the role players they are getting for how little they have.
Who runs the point in Phoenix?
I still don't know. That's a great question still.
I don't see it. Are you going to try to teach Devin Booker to be a point guard? I mean, Eric
People
Gordon.
think because his assist numbers goes up, he's a better point guard. I'm like, no, he's not.
Maybe Eric Gordon can run the point. I don't know.
I like Eric Gordon.
So Sammy Action and I made a bet.
Oh.
The Lakers I have the Lakers finishing worse than they did last year. So that means obviously not Western Conference Finals. And I get the push, which is basically Western Conference Finals, but they get swept again. So he needs them to win one Western Conference Finals game. I don't see it happening. LeBron's a year older. AD's a year more fragile. And those are your two. You're still relying on a 40-year-old or 39-year-old and a Mr. Glass as your top two guys. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Nuggets will probably be close to back, but I don't know who's going to step up behind them. Huh?
They lost Bruce Brown, but I think they're still pretty much
what?
intact. The Nuggets lost Bruce Brown, I believe.
Oh, woo!
Their 8th rotation guy. I think they're pretty much back at this point.
I don't hype on Bruce Brown, but it's not there.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I wasn't trying to hype him up.
I'm just saying.
I was just saying that that's the guy they lost. But I think Phoenix can obviously carry this night-by-night guy to the playoffs. No problem. Of course, you always have the Clippers in there. You know, Russ is back.
No, we don't.
Well, that's the thing. You have Russ, PG, and Kawhi, but do you actually have these guys when it comes down to crunch time? Like,
no.
You know, what can we look for in the West? It's you know, as stacked, I guess you want to say that it seems to be. It's not really, in my opinion.
Lakers and Nuggets, man.
I don't even think it's the Lakers.
Who is it?
It's the Nuggets and everybody else.
I think the Lakers are closest to them, though.
Why? Because they were in the Western Conference Final last year?
I mean, I would have said that even if they weren't. I think Minnesota, no. Phoenix, no. Dallas, I can't trust Kyrie, even though I love Luka. I mean, who do you put in there?
I mean, you might not like this, but if I have to put someone in the 2, it's Golden State.
That's bold.
If I have to, I don't even want to. I would want Nuggets 1 and everyone else 3 and below. Like,
that's fair. I can see it. Well, Kings might be back. I mean, Kings are not going to get. I don't think they're going to get worse.
Yeah, I mean,
because Fox is only getting better.
That's fair.
That's the only thing I can think of.
To me, it's a one-horse race in the West right now. I mean, can anybody, you know, develop into it? I don't know. I mean, you have, you know, is Rui back?
Rui is back, I believe.
Okay, so can Rui really sustain what he did in the playoffs? You know, the couple games he had.
I believe so.
He's as good as we think he is. I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
he's a very late bloomer, so he should be good still.
You know, it's who's running the point? Is Schrader back?
Schroeder went to God knows. I think he went to Toronto actually, because Van Vliet went to Houston.
Oh yeah, Van Vliet. How about Houston?
I was going to say the Rockets got Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks. They also have that kid Jalen Green, who was the first G League player to be drafted.
Yeah,
Rockets ain't bad, man.
Oh, they're still bad.
I don't know. I'm serious. They're not bad.
They might win more games than last year, but they're still bad.
I'll take close.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe you know. I understand your rose-colored glasses here, but I don't see a 39-year-old LeBron and Mr. Glass contending for a Western Conference championship here. I don't see it.
Regardless, we have to move on, but that could be that's a good topic for when the season comes back around the corner. We'll see what happens in October.
We'll see. Yeah, they might have to make some moves.
Right. More trades, you mean? No. Gamblegate, baby. Who doesn't love some Gambo Lagambo? Wow. On behalf of not Isaiah Rogers, but on behalf of the Colts, darn you, Isaiah Rogers, you idiots. Not that he's like a game breaker, but pretty valuable corner piece, I'd like to say, considering we just lost Stephon Gilmore. Listen, this is ugly, dude. And I don't want to go down this road automatically here. I want to see where you take it here. But my initial reaction to all this gamble stuff going on, how deep does this run? How much is the NFL trying to cover up here? Because I don't feel like this is just like we bet on a few games, this guy bet on 50 games. I don't know if that's true because to be fair, it's easy to bet on 100 games. I'll just say that right now. It's easy to throw in, $10, $15 every so often. It adds up quickly. I get that. But how many of these guys are just throwing games? Like, seriously. If they know they don't have the biggest contracts, that could be a big thing. And that's why I'm wondering if the NFL is trying to cover it up.
Well, I mean, this is everything that, people said when gambling was starting to become more legal nationwide. Everybody said, how do we protect the integrity of the sport?
Amen.
And for the longest time, the sports were so anti-gambling because
on the surface, yeah.
Yeah, because in their moralities. Of course, but the thing is the more and more they got in bed with Caesars, the more they got in bed with MGM. And this goes for more than just the NFL at this point. But even before the NBA got in bed with MGM, I've been saying I feel like that's the most rigged sport in America. But, football is slowly becoming that too, because how many games do we talk about decided by referees? And everybody says, well, there's no way they're throwing games because, these guys aren't going to, how do you keep everyone quiet? It's like, well, it's very simple. You only need to keep the 5 guys on the field quiet, and that's the refs. I mean, how many situations and issues? And now we have players gambling. Now, the Calvin Ridley situation, he had a couple of parlays. Do we believe that that's it? I don't know, but
he wasn't even playing, though. These guys are actually playing. That's what makes this even worse.
What I'm saying, it starts to snowball. Now we have a Titans offensive lineman who allegedly wasn't betting on the NFL, but he was betting inside the team facilities. And it's like, well, honestly, for me, if they're not betting on the NFL, this is initial thought. If they're not betting on the NFL, I don't see the problem. They're just like every other adult. However, you're not teaching a good example to the younger children of like, hey, you're being blessed with, very large sums of money to play a child's game, and you're throwing it away on what would theoretically be called a vice at this point. I mean, it's one of the, the things that's labeled a sin, so to speak. But I don't want to go down. I don't want to go down a religious path here. But
oh, come on, man, let's go.
No, I'm not a religious person, but I'm just saying, like, this is. I mean, up until within the last decade, there's people that won't go to Vegas. I mean, Chick-fil-A, who is a very religious company, for the years wouldn't put any properties in Nevada, much less Las Vegas, and now there's 10 of them.
That's right.
So slowly, people are breaking down these barriers. But the fact is, we knew this was going to happen. I mean, I'm already in that camp that I believe sports are controlled. I do. I still talk about it. I believe sports are entertainment more so than they are sports at this point. So therefore, you could link a sport closer to a soap opera than you could a reality show. So I have to say, throughout all this, I'm not surprised these things are happening. I'm surprised we haven't caught a big fish yet. I guess Calvin Ridley would be considered the biggest fish. And you look at it like, okay, so what did Jameson Williams and this starting offensive tackle for the Titans do that they only got 6, but all these practice squad and fringe players do that they got cut? I mean, is this just a talent thing?
I mean, Jameson Williams is 22 years old, and last time we saw him healthy in Alabama, he was pretty stinking amazing. It might be a talent thing because Calvin Ridley still has a job in Jacksonville.
But even Calvin Ridley got a year. Like, he technically got indefinite suspension, but he reinstated after a year.
It's always indefinite because it make it sound better on the surface.
But why? Like I'm saying, why is Jameson Williams suspended 6 games?
That's bad. I agree with that.
I think it's hypocritical. I mean, if you're doing exactly what, like, now Rodgers was betting on his own team, which is crazy. I mean, he was literally betting it. They've got him taken for an over-under rushing prop, which is probably Jonathan Taylor. So the under was probably good.
That's so horrible. It's more. I know what you're saying. You're not surprised, and I'm like 55% on your side with that. With the whole sports are more soap opera than, reality show. I can get down with that because I'm not one to just ignore like reality of life and companies. Even if you want to go down the Illuminati path, then we can do that too. But the fact is, like, it's surprising to me because I had to see it to believe it. I had to see these players. I don't want to say bigger name because the Titans offensive lineman whoop-de-freaking do, but I had to see like a Jameson Williams do it. I'm like, I think Jameson is probably a bigger fish than Calvin Ridley at this point, in my opinion, because Ridley was always in Julio Jones' shadow, and that's just regardless of the point. The more I see it, the more I'm like, God, guys, this is a horrible look. How many guys are getting away with this behind the scenes that are not getting caught yet? And does the NFL actually care, or they will care more about PR? And we've seen from their past circumstances, they care about PR more than anything.
Well, you have to look at it like this. I mean, you know, the NFL, well, gambling itself has declined, you know, over the years. You know, a generation older than me was big, you know, they were bigger into gambling. My generation's a little, probably 50-50. The generation right behind me, which is maybe a little older than you, but maybe around your generation, is not gambling as much. And then the mini generation right behind you, these companies are finding a way to, like, you know, kind of having to recruit new gamblers, which this may not be the greatest example, but, you know, cigarette companies have to find a way to recruit new customers, you know, and
that's why e-cigarettes came out.
Well, not even that. Back in the day, they just used to leave packs right by schools. Like they would leave open packs with one. Look, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying this is how they marketed to new customers. But you notice that all these guys that are getting pops, Calvin Ridley included, are younger guys. Like also guys that don't have the large contracts. Like I can't imagine Aaron Rodgers is risking his $30 or $50 million contract. Patrick Mahomes. These guys aren't risking their contracts to go gamble on a couple of sports. They don't need the money. Lord knows that. Now, I don't think they have the itch to do so. But it does seem like the youngest, I mean, all these guys, except for, like, I don't know about the Titans O-line, but all these guys seem to be within 3 years of college, you know, out of the league or in the league. So I don't know what the NFL can do. I mean, they've already put all these measures in place. I know the one guy they caught using a proxy, using somebody else to bet for them. So really at this point, it's not something to mess around with at this point. Like you just, are people going to continue to do it like PEDs? Sure. Probably thinking, oh, they're not going to catch me, but this is just, I don't know. To me, it's not shocking that it's happening.
It's not shocking. I agree. It's not shocking.
You're looking for a bigger fish, and any of the ones, like, you're not going to find Pat Mahomes on this list. You're not going to find, you know, I don't know, Justin Herbert.
What about
You're
a
not
backup quarterback?
That's possible. I mean, I still think a backup quarterback making, you know, $5 to $10 million though is not going to risk that.
That's fair.
But a guy making, you know, 1 to 2 might try to throw some stuff. The problem is like on a moral level, I have no problem with these guys gambling. I have no problem with Pete Rose, you know, gambling if he's telling the truth when he says he never bet on his own team. If you don't bet on your own team, or you don't bet something that you actually have direct outcome, you know, a hand in the outcome, I don't have a problem with that. The problem is you can't control that if you're the NFL. So you really have to kind of blanket it all. And they're really not trying to blanket all of it. They're just basically saying, don't bet on the NFL. Don't bet on the NFL premises. Don't bet on you know, on the grounds of your team's facility. They really know they can't stop a guy from going to bet on the NBA finals. Like they can't, if they want to do it, go for it. Just don't do it on the grounds.
How hard do you think that is? Like, I know it's people are like trying to make this a thing, but to me, it comes down to how hard is it to just wait till you get home? It cannot be that hard, right?
Well, that's dependent because with in-game betting, with live betting, or when, you know, if you're in the facility for 12 hours a day, like when are you going to bet on the MLB? You know, you're going to bet on it, you know.
That's right.
A lot of betting, which I'm lumped into this sometimes, but a lot of betting is impulse betting. You know, say you just finished your game, you're the Titans offensive line, and you just finished your game, you're like, hey, well, I want to, you know, the college basketball game comes on here in 20 minutes, but I'm not going to make it home in time. I need to make this bet, you know. I was going to say the Sunday Night Football game, but they specifically said don't bet on the NFL. But you get my like they're basically some betting is impulse betting. So I mean, yes, it's easy to say, okay, I'm just going to miss that bet because I can't bet it on the facility. But I think I'd like to think the NFL has taken a harder line now with making an example of some people. Now they're not the biggest names, but we do know Jameson Williams, we do know Calvin Ridley. But remember that first guy on the Cardinals who got suspended for 2 years for doing parlays? Like, we're never going to hear from that guy again.
And he'll be speaking to us on what is that podcast? The Barstool stuff.
Maybe he'll be a gamble guy.
That's right. Oh, I love that. You're all right about the direct information. If they don't know, that's why they say you can't bet on the NFL because guys got friends across the league. But
Right.
if they don't have that on there, that if they don't have the direct access, then yeah, I agree with you. They can bet on other sports. That should be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they took this long to really do it. And like you said, like, is there a bigger underbelly to this that we're just never going to find out about? But they were staunchly against fantasy football for the longest time too. I mean, and that's a form of gambling. But I was surprised. Maybe it was because how much they were in bed with some of these companies. But when they were so against fantasy football, but really took a more relaxed approach against the actual gambling on football, it was a little bit of a surprise to me until it kind of bit them in the ass.
All right, we'll be right back. Top 5 baseball teams on the other side.
All right, welcome back to this Monday, this holiday edition of the AM Drive. We are presented by Fanatics. You see it right there. Go to MikeandAaronDrive.com and click the F when you're shopping because it's got everything your heart could desire in the terms of the sports world with memorabilia, merchandise, apparel, etc. So once again, MikeandAaronDrive.com, click the F, shop Fanatics today, and support this channel tremendously.
Woo! All right. All right, top 5 baseball teams. Aaron, I guess I'll take the first roundabout here. I believe you have first pick in the draft, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'll go 1 to 5 here. The Tampa Bay Rays are still at number 1 for me. They're still creme de la creme in baseball, although I do think they just lost one of their pitchers to the DL or something like that.
Their ace, McClanahan, yeah.
Yeah, but he's not going for long, is he?
I haven't seen any update on it.
Okay. Number 2, the Braves. The Atlanta have moved up to number 2s in my list. They're playing incredible baseball, and they're once again cream of the crop in the National League. Marlins are close on their tail, but I'm going to go with the Braves. I think Braves are looking pretty good. Number 3, the Texas Rangers. Wow. The Rangers have been pretty consistent all year. If only their guys get even healthier, they would be a really good team out there in the AL. Unfortunately, they still got some guys are elbow hurts. Jacob deGrom. Number 4, the Houston Astros are always pain in the side. You're taking your neck, but they're here and they're here to stay. Unfortunately, number 5. I struggled with it because I'm like, I don't know if I'm still on the train of I don't know if I trust the Orioles or not. It's after all, it's the Baltimore, Maryland Orioles. They're not supposed to be good, and they're still pretty good. So I got them at number 5 because I don't frankly know who else should be there. Diamondbacks, I don't know if I trust them even more. So I'll go with the Orioles, number 5. Rays, Braves, Rangers, Astros, and Orioles. That's not bad.
Well, for this edition, being that it's July 4th, holiday weekend, so to speak, I'm going to put some fireworks in my top 5.
Woo!
We have a new number 1 team.
That's sickening.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at these two rosters, and I've looked at I've followed them. I've been betting baseball heavily the past, this season, really. So I've been a lot more invested in baseball this year than I have in a lot of previous years.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the best team in the bigs right now is the Atlanta Braves.
Wow.
They're pitching top to bottom in that lineup. They're just absolutely there. There's not a weak link right now as it speaks. For me, Tampa, with the last few weeks, letting the Royals win the series against them, splitting a series with the Oakland.
Yeah.
I don't believe in a 7-game series that they're the better team if you put them against Atlanta. So number one for me, the Atlanta Braves, knocking off the Tampa Bay Rays, who have been in the top spot since day one this season.
Yep.
Number two will be Tampa, and I feel firm with that one. I feel like Tampa can hold their own against the remaining teams I have in the top 5 at this point in the season, obviously before the injury to Shane McClanahan. Number 3, Texas. I don't know how they keep doing it. Their pitching staff is just very mundane to me, but their offense is absolutely incredible. I don't know if I can consider them a World Series contender right now with that pitching staff, but from right now, to me, then the power rankings are number 3. Number 4, how dare you with the Arizona Diamondbacks? They are continuing to defy odds. They have an MVP candidate in Corbin Carroll.
Yep.
They play in one of the best stadiums in the country.
Ooh.
And deserve this number 4 spot that I am going to give them. They've held off everybody in the West so far. Those Dodgers that everybody loves, those Giants who are surprising people, and those Padres who just keep throwing money at a problem that doesn't fix it. They still suck. And then, of course, you have Colorado. But my number 5 team, we will agree upon this one. It's the Baltimore Orioles. I feel like you have to put somebody from the East that's not named Tampa in this because the East is good. So, yeah, I went with the Baltimore Orioles, obviously, because they're second in the East. And there's really, to me, those 4 teams at the top, and you can, make the argument with Arizona, what have you, but those 4 teams at the top are starting to separate themselves, in my opinion. But we're getting into the summer, we're getting into the trade deadline, so we'll see what happens. This next month is going to be pivotal.
Good.
Teams are going
I like it.
Giving away their players, so we'll see what happens.
Braves won the World Series, some people say that way. We'll see. Let's take a barake, and we come back. Fantasy Draft Friday. That's so amazing and just attractive to hear on the ears. We're back.
All right, welcome back to the final segment here of the AM Drive, and it is grilling season. The weather is heating up. Lord knows it just started touching triple digits here in Vegas.
Oh.
Yeah, it was gross. My wife and I went out to the grocery store yesterday. We don't tell anybody, but my wife works at Costco, and we signed up for a Sam's Club membership just to see what the hype was about. And so we went and flirted with the enemy yesterday, but it's grilling season. It's hot. It's time to get those grills out, time to get them ready. And what better way to do that than with Agridyne? The best meats shipped right to your door. And when you use code AMDrive, you get 10% off your order. So make sure you go to MikeandAaronDrive.com, click a logo that looks just like this, shop for all those meats, and use code AMDrive for 10% off. Tell them we sent you.
Tell them we sent you. Woohoo! It helps us out tremendously.
Tremendously.
Right. Fantasy drafts. Tell us about it, Aaron.
So in honor of July 4th, we are going to draft our 5 best players who have worn the jersey number 4 or the NASCAR number 4.
I didn't do that.
I didn't know if you went with Kevin Harvick or anything, but
No.
the number 4 basically associated with a person in sports since 1960. That way we can keep it a little more relevant.
I do want to mention, because you said NASCAR, I know nobody heard about it, but I did. This guy, something Van Gisbergen, was like a supercar racer in Australia. He's from New Zealand. It's like the closest thing to NASCAR cars over across the world. They raced on a Chicago street race yesterday. Like they literally like closed off some of Chicago and raced downtown. And this guy won his first NASCAR race, and the first guy since 1963 to do that. So that was a pretty awesome deal yesterday. Pretty awesome race to watch. They raced in the rain too, which is also pretty cool. I just wanted to shout out to Shane Van Gisbergen. That's right, SVG. Shane won his first NASCAR race and on the first street race. That was pretty cool.
One step of NASCAR merging with the Formula One.
It's pretty cool. That was a pretty cool deal. Like watching them come up the hill of some streets, watching the street lights come on at night. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, they got a Formula One event coming up here in Vegas in November, and the construction for this is absolutely ridiculous. I speak for all locals when I say I can't wait till it's over.
All right, first pick, sir.
All right, number 4, first pick in the number 4 fantasy draft. This one is tough. There's a lot of guys. There's guys up at the top that if I make one selection, I know I'm not going to get the other guy. So this is a really tough one for me. I'm going to go with the quarterback. Everyone's favorite quarterback turned everyone's least favorite quarterback. And that's Brett Favre. The number 4, synonymous with being Brett Favre, or as John Madden says it, Brett Favre.
Or Brett Fraud. Whoop.
Yeah, Brett Welfare Fraud.
That's right. I was going to pick a number 1, so good job on you. At least you took the moral high ground today. Okay. This guy, I was surprised that he actually wore number 4 in his career. Because you think I'm just going to snipe your little hockey guy. You can have him. I'm going to go with a guy who actually changed his number a lot, which I did not know until recently. Moses. Not that Moses from the Bible. We're talking Moses Malone. Who actually wore number 4 for 2 of his All-Star seasons, which, again, I did not know. But shout out to the father of Carl.
I'll give it to you. I don't know. I feel like this draft they've got to be like synonymous with their number, but
I've got a few of those, but my criteria is like they wore number 4 at some point in their career. Okay, so we'll do it.
Yeah, well, the one season Andre Iguodala wore number 4 could put him on the list too, I guess, but I decided to keep him off. But
well, watch your mouth, man. He might be on the list.
I'm sure you picked him because he wore 4 for 1 year, even
though
he's number 9. But that's fine. You're gonna get slaughtered in this draft anyways, like you do in every draft.
Like Agridine. Let's go.
You're right. I'll probably end up taking that number 4 unless you steal him from me. But I'm going to go another route. I'm going to go to basketball myself as well here, and I'm going to go with the round mound of Rebound, who wore number 4.
God bless it.
2 different spots, even though he wore number 4 or number 34 in Houston. And I'm going to go with Mr. Terrible himself, Charles Barkley.
I hate you. Yeah, Brett Favre and Chuck just right underneath my skin here. Well, I'm not going to go to the 19, whatever the heck that was back then, before either of us was born. Surprising, I know. I'm going to go with Tom Brady's savior, Adam Vinatieri. Holds a lot of records, folks.
He was on my list. He was
good.
Going to be one of my 5. I didn't think you'd get. Oh, he played for the Colts. Of course, you would get him.
He was in. And listen to this. So, like, there are players out there, but there are positions in sports out there where you're like, yeah, if you do this thing good, like, there's a million people who can do it good. If you say you're the best kicker in NFL history, arguably, you're a pretty good kicker, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you had to quickly decide, better kicker, Vinatieri or Justin Tucker?
Boy, Tucker's got a long ways to go. Man, Tucker's going to be right up there one day. That's what's scaring me about Vinatieri's fandom here. But Tucker's only won, one Super Bowl? If that? Did he?
I don't know if he was around.
Because he's 28. He's actually young.
If he's 28, I don't think he won. The last Super Bowl they won was Ray Lewis, right?
Yeah, the lights out game, yeah.
That was like a decade ago.
Speaking of conspiracy,
I don't think he was on that team.
I don't either.
All right, number 3. I'm gonna take him. The best defense ever play the game. That's Bobby Orr. Number 4, Bobby Orr, Boston Bruins defenseman, who surprisingly didn't play as long as I thought he did.
Exactly.
Still
So
best defenseman of all time.
that's great. Against who? Exactly. Okay, so
He played in the glory years of the NHL.
wow. This guy, this was tough for me, but he played from 1988 to 2007. Never heard of him until I looked this up, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good stats here. Craig Biggio.
You never heard of Craig Biggio?
I don't remember his name now. Had a long career, though. 7-time All-Star, Hall of Famer in baseball, 4-time Gold Glove, 5-time Silver Slugger. Pretty good stuff there.
He was a phenomenal baseball player. The funny thing is, do you know the record he will forever be known for?
Oh, no.
He has the hit by pitches in his career.
Wow. You scumbag.
That's actually one of the reasons he was left off my list, because his claim to fame is most hit by pitches.
I mean, he's got other things that are claim to fame, but sure, go ahead and do you, man.
So I went with another baseball player here, number 4. And this one is Mr. Longevity, Mr. Twin, Mr. Minnesota. He's not known by a lot of the casuals, as we'll call you, in baseball, but he is one of the best and most consistent to ever do it. He never won I think he won 1 title, actually. But this one I might be able to pander to some of the older crowd with this one on my list, and that's Paul Molitor.
Who exactly?
Nah, people who know baseball will know that name.
Good thing I don't know baseball. Woo!
No.
I'm Mr. Casual over here.
Yep, Mr. Casual.
That's good. Oh. Okay, so before I make my next pick, I've got to ask you, because you're a hockey guy, I like to use a lifeline here. Is 700 assists in hockey good?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good. I just want to make sure I have that on there. Because we're going to go with the guy. What?
I feel like you're going to take my guy.
Oh, good. 196 goals to go along with those 712 assists. New Jersey Devil bastard. 1,600. Oh, go ahead and say his name for us. Tell people.
Scott Stevens.
Woo! Gotta get a hockey guy in there. 1,600 games is a lot of games.
Screw that, dude. He was the most badass defenseman I've ever seen.
So he wasn't the Orr guy. Good.
No, Bobby Orr is the best defenseman I've ever seen. But Scott Stevens was the ultimate enforcer back when enforcer really had a spot. Like, he would fight anybody. He was the equivalent of the safety who didn't want the receiver to go to the middle. You come skating around the middle, he was going to take you out. Scott Stevens.
Troy Polamalu.
Yeah, Scott Stevens, one of the best to do it. 3 cups, by the way. Don't forget that. Add that to his resume.
Yes. And also Hall of Famer, 5-time All-Star. There you go.
Yeah, Scott Stevens was a badass.
Ooh.
Well, that puts me in a bind here for my 5th pick, because he was going to be my 5th pick.
Yes.
Which is funny, because I bet you never watched Scott Stevens play a game.
Watch your mouth.
You couldn't even tell me if he was white or black.
He's white because he's a hockey player. Now stop that.
So
Is he
there's
black? Is he
He's
black?
He's not white.
Well, he's
You
Russian.
don't even know what color the guy on your team is.
Is he black for real?
No, he's white. I'm just messing with you.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay.
I had to put the shadow of doubt. There are black hockey players.
Shadow of doubt. Nice racist joke, sir.
Why? He's white. It's not racist.
That's right.
All right, so I have 4 guys for 1 spot. I could go with the hometown kid, which would make sense. But then I could go with the Hall of Famer, the legend in basketball,
Chris Webber.
who was really good. No, screw Chris Webber. He was a
Oh, yeah, I know. You're talking about the other guy. Okay, I got you.
Talk
I know
about
what you're
the
talking about.
Then I could go with Mr. Massage himself, but only his college career.
Oh, I forgot about him actually.
Yeah, his college career was one to be revered for sure. And then there's always Mr. Big Shot as well.
Hmm.
So I'll draft. How do you leave this guy on the table here?
I'll pick one of them up.
All right, I'm going to draft the Hall of Famer. I can't leave him on the table. He was part of the Bad Boy Pistons era.
Dang it!
He's absolutely an incredible power forward. An even better GM who put together a championship winner as a GM as well. So I'm going to go with Joe Dumars as my number 5 pick.
And
I'll
still in the NBA today.
I'll give my honorable mentions after you make your 5th pick.
Yeah. God, Lee Day, that is tough. So I've got Moses Malone, Adam Vinatieri, Craig Biggio, and Scott Stevens. I think you've pretty much smoked me based on the first 4 picks, and Joe Dumars was your freaking cherry on top. So I got destroyed in this draft. Thank you, sir.
Yes, you did. You always do.
God, Lee, I had a good list, but good Lord, you had easiest good list of all time. I'm gonna go with just for flash. I'm gonna go with a 5'6" guy who can dunk. Spud Webb, baby.
There
We
you
got
go.
Cook, so who cares?
That's a good hoorah at the last
No, it's
pick.
not. Chris
All right.
Webber would have been a better one.
Who?
Chris Webber would have been better.
Yeah, probably. But even though Chris Webber was a bum too, he wasn't very good in the NBA.
Be nice.
My honorable mentions, I already kind of said them, but my honorable mentions were Chauncey Billups,
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook, and Deshaun Watson.
Spencer Dalvin Cook. I was actually going to say Dalvin Cook is my first pick just to screw with your head.
So I didn't really want him on my list, but if this draft went sideways, he might have made my list.
No, you know any draft with me ain't going sideways.
He's a Florida State boy, so he may have made the list just for that reason. But he was pretty damn incredible at Florida State.
Am I going to set a record for most drafts lost in a row?
Yeah, I think so. You might have won one. Actually, there was one of them where I posted it on social media, and a couple people had your back. I was really shocked because I thought I had smoked that draft specifically, but now I'm trying to think. Oh, the cookout. You got a lot of love on your cookout, which I was shocked. I thought you got destroyed on that one.
I did too, because you made me feel bad. You talking about the barbecue one?
Yeah, people are mundane, just like you, with the hot dogs and hamburgers. Although you got a lot of love for the banana pudding, I think is what saved you.
Yeah, you're peach. I showed my mom that video of me picking barbecue chips as we both laugh. She's like, "Why don't you pick apple pie?"
Because it was already picked.
She said, "Why did you pick apple pie?" That's what she was wondering.
Oh, you don't take apple pie to a cookout? I love apple pie.
God.
All right, so my 5, and then your 5. I have Brett Favre, Charles Barkley, Bobby Orr, Paul Molitor, and Joe Dumars.
This one I did lose. Moses, the one who did the arc. I'm kidding, that's Noah. Moses Malone. Good joke. Adam Vinatieri. Craig Biggio. Scott Stevens. Who? No. And Spud Webb. And that's a bad list, bro.
I think you're in trouble. With Vinatieri being your 2nd pick, I think you're already in trouble.
No, Vinatieri's a good one. Just, you're right, probably not number 2.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 you took 2 of mine. You took Stevens and Vinatieri off my list.
That's right.
So
I think your list got better because of that.
It's possible, because I probably would have taken Scott Stevens over Joe Dumars. So,
Oof.
see, but hockey is more near and dear to me.
I know, me too. I got an ice heart.
One more cup. He won one more cup than Dumars won titles as a player.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an all-around badass. And Dumars was part of the Bad Boy Pistons, but I don't know if he was a bad boy himself. So
I think he was, because he's actually he still does the league discipline stuff too, which is really wild. He's an NBA lifer.
I always took Lambeer and Rodman as the bad boys, more so.
Guys who, Rodman was actually good, and Lambeer was just a big guy who can. Yeah.
It's funny. He did an interview that said the same thing. Boom, 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 boom. All right, we've been on your screens too long. Enjoy your work week. Enjoy your sports week. We'll see you guys on Friday. Until then, make sure you support the channel, support the socials. All of that can be found at mikeandaarondrive.com. And, of course, support the sponsors because they help out
the show tremendously.
Yeah, like what he said. mikeandaarondrive.com. We'll see you guys on Friday for another Fantasy Draft Friday and all the happenings in the sports world. Until then, Michael Carvelis, I'm Aaron Crouch saying have a wonderful and happy and safe sports week.
Drive safe.